Hello. How is the sound? Not too crackly? Yes. Good. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Colabund. This is a triple album from 1997, I believe, from Plasticman, consumed on Mute Records, Nova Mute, the sub-label of Mute that was dedicated to electronic music. This is Plasticman is like one of the biggest legends of techno, and his early stuff on his own label was very rave acid techno, and a lot of it has aged. And then in '96 he did an EP called Sickness. That was a game changer for me. When people started to talk about minimal techno in the early 2000s, don't need to go further than that. This is as minimal as it gets. And this is still an album from Plasticman that is quite underrated. People either favor his early stuff or the stuff he did after that. But this, in my opinion, is... Right before I was starting this, I checked quickly all the tracks again. They're all different and they're all so good. You get this... for me, this is coming from the same place as blues and jazz. You know, these night train trips with the... Salut Vibrasonic, Mick, Loyola. So yeah, this is very much night music that I believe was probably influenced as well by Biosphere and Thomas Kunner. Porter Rix, as this was quite different from what Plasticman had accustomed us with. Richie Houghton. Hello, the vinyl Dreamscape. Escape. Yeah, so tonight, just a bunch of music, some new records. 808, salut 808. Yeah, Basic Channel obviously is a big influence on this as well. Loader, I'm not sure I have it here. I know I had it. I have it, probably, but it might be in my other place. Well, hello Michael. tonight I might be going for my special, my own cranberry. How do you call that? Like my own cranberry moonshine, made from a couple of years ago. So tonight, yeah, there will be techno, jazz, rock, avant-garde, dub, just anything. Let's see. I haven't tasted it yet. Ooh. Cheers. Not exactly bathtub. Oh, this is sweet, but strong. Hey, Michael Pilmer. Yeah, we're doing that. Michael and I are gonna do a video about Daisy Chainsaw. And tonight I think I'll play some music, some records, and maybe we'll have a guest a little later for a little while, just to see how it goes. Hey Marcos, Ryan. But can you? I don't know if this is too far out of a view on this, but when you think of the inspiration of jazz, original jazz, like which has been documented, these like the clucking of the rails, or something like that. When you travel by night and there's no other sound to be heard. This is what this reminds me of. Hey Alex. Can't wait for your Halloween mix. Alex Motoric 247 is gonna do a Halloween stream. Should be fun. Hey Coil. Cool, okay. For me, Vatican Shadow has mostly ripped off Muslim goals, but maybe this as well. There's the minimalist aspect of it for sure. Okay, we'll have a little change of pace soon. We don't want to scare the jazz bums too early. Ah, nice, Alex. yeah, cool. Now I tend to check the records on Discogs, the ones I prepared for tonight, and well, there'll be some quite cool cheapos or semi-cheapos. Next one is a little less so. Let's put it that way. It's a library record that should tell you something already. And we'll listen to a few tracks on it. It's a record I bought for nothing 20 years ago. How easy is it to make a record cover? Huh? 1973. Yeah, we were talking yesterday with the jazz bums about organ players in jazz, so that's what made me think of this. Such a great organ album. What's funny with this Plasticman record, if I think someone said that it went up on Discogs. This is a triple LP, and it still managed to miss one track from the CD version, which actually is my favorite track from that. I love it all, but I think there could be a reissue of that. I have also a Japanese CD version of this with an extra mini CD of live tracks from this. So this could be a nice 4 LP set if they did reissue it. Yes. Nice, Ryan. Enjoy. Oh. Well. Yeah. Exactly. The best bossa nova is from Italy. Yeah. Exactly. There's a couple of more experimental cues on this, with heavy bass and great drumming. I'm just playing track 1 and through a little bit. I miss you. Oh, okay. Yeah, Stefan, that one features the track that I love, but with the added piano, which is a little weird. I might, yeah, I don't know. Basically, the album we played just before, they released earlier this year, I believe, or last year, a version of the same tracks, but with added piano improvisation on top of it by Chili Gonzalez. And he plays intentionally off in a way. If Stefan, please correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a high concept record. So again, for those who don't know, this is the reason why this is so expensive is because it's so rare. And it's rare because this was never commercially released. It was a library soundtrack, music for the screen, set station screen. So basically they just, you see, they send the records to production companies. This one is from a Swiss television channel. And yeah. We can add, Michael, we can do this. Adding some spring reverb. Yes, Luder. Hey, Manavarder. I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry. Yes, Pilmer. Now something different, even though it's also jazz. Siegfried Kessler, French keyboard player. With Jean-François Pauvros, French guitar player, on Le Chant du Monde. The song of the world, basically the French folkways. This is an amazing package. Autechre, thank you so much. You get a request if you want. I don't promise I can deliver. Yeah, Pilmer, you're gonna love this. Nice. No, I'm saying it's that Le Chant du Monde is the equivalent of folkways for France. I know. Yeah, Tom, that album was really cool. Like, I played it a few times, but I might play it again. This is Tom Reissue, who is part of a record that is in my rarefied air want list. Yeah, he's been doing. I have many records featuring him. Okay, something from France again, but like that Siegfried Kessler album. Phew. So yeah, again, that was Phoenix 14 by Siegfried Kessler and Jean-François Pauvros, which is still a somewhat cheap record, but not that cheap, and not for long. The Kessler was, I think it's 80, no, 79. So Jean-Louis Bucci, French musician who did quite a few library soundtracks. This is his first album under his name. And as you can hear, the bass playing is heavy, which means it's Yannick Top from Magma, amongst other things. Yeah, this was released in early '78. This album is quite varied and it's quite difficult to sum it up. It's like these like left field structures with heavy funkiness. Hey Luis, good night to you. now a record that I was reminded of thanks to Alex. Alex posted this on Instagram a couple of weeks ago, and I hadn't listened to this for 7-8 years. This is a jazz record, by the way. Very cheap record, very, very cheap. Weirdly so. George Lewis, trombone player. I mean, he studied and played with Anthony Braxton, many others of this ilk, and he has some regular jazz records and some totally like this. So with Douglas Evart, who's from Jamaica, on clarinet. Yeah, this is bass clarinet, electronically modified trombone. This is the most out there track of the album, but yeah, Magma is great. Do it, just do it, Bobby. Hello, Faust. Coming down, yes. This is a track called, what is it called? the imaginary suit in 2 parts. This is the first part, which has a lot of tension, which is a little bit dark. The second part is the same, but with much less tension, more elegiac. Very good as well. Very, very good. I mean, look at this guy. If we go into aquatic music, yeah, do that. And if you can, there's a little tipping jar in the description that's helpful right now. No pressure, but always appreciated and always put back into this show. Now something from my favorite musician ever. So some here probably know. BC, yeah, exactly. Exactly, the two. Good one. Yeah, there might be some oboe. If pedal comes by, who knows? There I am. Thanks, cool. Oh. So for Ryan, Jazz is a Spanish woman who produced techno. The first album was fantastic, extremely good, industrial, ambient, very like meaty on the great Swedish label from Gothenburg, Ideal. The stuff she's doing now, I don't like it at all. Now she got into something different that is not for me. But the first one is still really, really good. So Steve Lacy, soprano, master. It's very rare I find a Steve Lacy record I don't find worth picking up. This is a track called The Complicated Scene, featuring Jean-Jacques Avenel on bass, great French bass player, and Oliver Johnson on drums. This is a late Steve Lacy album from '88, super cheap. I think there's only one pressing of this on Soul Note, great Italian label. Same, like the album before was on Black Saint, which is Black Saint and Soul Note are the same label, more or less, from Milano. Interesting. Yeah, we agree on that. I saw her live and it was terrible. Yes, finally. I don't have every single Lacy albums, but I got a little over 100, and most of my jazz want list is Steve Lacy albums. There's just something about the soprano. Yeah, in a way, there's nothing that sounds more like a solo Steve Lacy album than another one, and yet I need them all. Yeah, and he has such a, I mean, his life story is, I wouldn't say it's inspiring because, yeah, but it is quite something. See? Oh! No, not that much, Coil. There are copies around for like 15, 20. But yeah, it's congrats. Yeah, so Steve Lacy, what's amazing also is that he manages to, he delivers in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, like, he never really, yeah, he never disappointed. Thank you, Vinyl Dreamscape. Wow, that's the ones you got? Yeah. Roland Pillon, so good. So I'll play a few more there, and if someone, if Tom, if Coil, if Rosé wants to come on screen, we have like a, I don't know, like 15-20 minute long discussion, even more, if the mood is right. Just let me know, and we can do that. Nice, Ryan. No way. Alright guys, so there's we might have some, not exactly now, I'll play just a couple of more of the records, and then we'll have a, yeah, like, I'll send the link after a few records, but this will be nice. If that's alright with you guys. No problem, Tom, but sometimes we should do it. I really like the first one, Into Deep. But the other ones, I don't like them as much. I love you, Victor. Harvey Mason. Okay, so now I got taken by time. Yeah, I wanted to play this quickly. I think that's the track. So this was, yeah, Harvey Mason, Groovin' You, the 12-inch. Oh, I love disco. I have so much disco. Well, the only music I struggle with, or that I have little interest in, is heavy metal and a lot of soul music. Actually, I must confess, bores me. But some of it I love. So that's not the track I wanted to play. No, it is. So this is a guy from the US who does IDM, or who did IDM, and this is a sampler of a CD-only album he did in the early 2000s, and it got reissued as a double LP a few years ago, and they're just releasing a new album of his, of old material though. But this is kind of like IDM going shoegaze for me. This is Mr. Projectile. And this is on Merc, Miami label. I haven't. I love this track, but it's not the one I wanted to play. There you go. I might have played this already a long time ago. He did some stuff on his own label in the mid-2000s that was really, really good as well. And his mid-90s stuff was like Midwest techno, pretty hard, pretty good, with a guy called Dave Olson. So I haven't listened to the new album. Yeah. But Ulrich Schnauz is too nice for me. This, you see, this is darker. Blowjob jokes, totally fine, Ryan. By the way, Tom, if you're still here, and if you hear this, have you worked? You must have worked with Brad Lehner, right? And I'm sure Cole knows who Brad Lehner is. This synthesizer like solos. Oh, this is so good. Good. By the way, Cole, Ulrich has done a whole album with my friend Seba, who we were talking about on Rachel's. So he came here. Yeah, but not just that. If you like My Bloody Valentine, there's no reason not to love this. generic sleeve. I'll show the record. The first album of Medicine, and the first single, Aruka, is really good. Very hard, like also very Mildly Valentine, but harder, industrial Mildly Valentine. But he's been in many other bands since the late 70s, I believe. Hello Rast, sorry for the bad teaching. Is a latecomer to the indie I'm into. They're kind of like a very good mixture of the Face Healers and Pram, and this is one of their best records. Yes, of course I do. Both. He was, yeah. Of course. And yes, yeah, I was at the Face Healers' last gig ever. So this is an interesting record. This is Erland Øye's first record. No, Kim Hjortøy, sorry, Kim Hjortøy. Kim Hjortøy, who used to be the designer, the graphic designer for Wire magazine, and also for Rune Gramophone. Hey Chris. Tap dancing drum and bass. Kind of, yeah. Should I play the early Anticon? I have them all here as well. Yeah, I'm sorry, Bobby, but I'll increase the quality. Just think of this as reference. As soon as I can afford another computer, that will be solved. I already got a new sound card. Actually, it's funny you say the Anticon because this was on Vertical Form. And Vertical Form released some records from 6.2 who used to be part of Anticon. Yeah, this is from 2002. Oh yeah. You know, this is a very noisy pressing, but actually I don't care. I think it fits the music. Yes, Luder, exactly. Well, Luder, that is our nostalgia, I guess. Yes, Coil. Which is ironic since that's my job, pressing vinyl records. Yeah. Hello, Ivan. Nice to see you. You better not. Super Sport, the band that emerged from the ashes of the Face Healers, and I'll be soon sending like an invite for Coil and Jose. So for sure. Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, I got some Asahi I'm drinking tonight. I found actual Japanese Asahi and not the bullshit like Italian version that we normally get here in the US. So it's
Nice.
pretty all right.
Yeah,
Stunty,
Uh,
that set was great, man. That was a
it was good.
yeah, that was a killer set. I gotta say, and I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, Jose, but I don't do the vinyl community thing. I think the whole VC thing, I get it. It's kind of I would never be a part of it, but I think like you are legit. Like you're legit, man. Like I'm so glad you have not
I like
mentioned
it.
once about like, oh man, this pressing, it was pressed at RTI and blah blah blah.
Uh,
Like I don't care. Like just
Look,
play the music. That rules.
I
Like
I
that's
I
awesome.
I am in both spectrums because I do collect audiophile stuff too. I do believe that it's at the end I don't care as much, but if I can get a nice version of something, I don't mind talking about it. I
Sure.
wouldn't. I would never be like I would never think that if it was not well recorded, it's not worthy of being. Nah, no, I don't believe that, but I do like the audiophile stuff just as much, I guess. Because
I don't have a problem with I
Jose,
don't want to turn into
just
audiophile
guys,
debate, but
just quickly,
mhm.
as it's the first time I'm having people on screen and having some music in the background playing, if someone can tell me how how it sounds, it's if it's absolutely horrible, or if it's all right.
Right.
Um, I don't know if I should like draw back the music at all. So someone in the Pinot Gallery tell me, because I'm hearing, I'm having the conversation with you from the phone. I'm streaming from as well. So it's it's very
Cool, cool.
lo-fi, very lo-fi.
no, but I don't want
Okay.
to get into that debate. But I will say that it's just nice to not hear about. Oh man, this pressing is like it's just nice to be like, here's the record, here's the music, like that. That's nice. Like that's just awesome. Because I
If,
like
if,
for me personally, like I yeah, I'm with you, Jose. Like I'll buy audiophile records if that's the only pressing I can get, or if it's a record I love
Mhm.
that has that kind of pressing. But the fact is, like, man, like we just heard an hour's worth of like killer jams. Like that's what's awesome. Um, so yeah, I just
Yeah.
commend you, Stunty, on doing some
you
good
know, it's
work.
funny you say that because, of course, this resonates with me in many ways. But I do run a record pressing plant. That's
What
the
what
irony.
plant what plant is it?
It's a small plant in Sweden. We've been doing that for 3 years.
And what is your kind of position there? Are you sort of managing the place or?
It's a complicated story, but at one point I was doing absolutely everything.
People are saying that there's no music. I don't know if it's intended, but I think
Yeah,
people are.
there's still music in the background because that Quick Space Super Sport record, like it's
Oh,
like I don't know how
it's
long
a
it
John
is,
Cage
but it's
tribute. Is it a John Cage tribute?
Yeah, I don't think people can hear it, Stunty. I think like that's the problem. I don't think people can hear it.
oh what? Some
Yeah.
people can't hear me.
No, no, can't hear the
No.
music.
Oh yeah, because I put it low so I can hear you
Oh,
guys.
oh,
All right.
yeah. Now I can kind of hear it. Now I can kind of hear the music.
Well, I don't have as
No,
much
but
time. I'm making my stuff for the. I go on my plane tomorrow, so I got to pack. But I'll be here a little while.
yeah, I thought it was. I just wanted to try. As I've been doing these streams now almost every Fridays. The only ones I didn't do it with because I had like a gig or something. But I thought like it would be nice, like both of you guys run or have run labels. It was funny. I thought today on Rachel that I guess the first time, like I mean, I don't think there's anyone else in the community that we know of that runs a label. And the first time there are one, two, three guys who run or ran a label, it's noise and avant-garde
Yeah,
experimental stuff.
yeah, yeah. I
Uh,
mean,
I like that puts off a little bit to people, but like I said, I'm into a lot of stuff. I know you are into a lot of stuff, so it's maybe it'll help people to see that you can like certain things and then you can explore certain things. And I think that when you stream and when you talk, you do a lot of what I do normally, which is I like a band and then I like the members and I see what the members released and what labels they
Yep.
were, and then the labels what all other bands they do, which very normal for me, but I know it's not normal for.
Well, so
Yeah,
I used to have a radio show in DC called DNA in the DNA, and the idea of that radio show was to sort of extrapolate, like, again, I'm just use a generic example, like, oh, I really like Sonic Youth, and so Sonic Youth was really inspired by No Wave, and then I hear Mars or DNA, and I'm like, what started No Wave? And then I want to know everything about that, and then what started that
Yeah.
previously. You know what I mean? Like, that's what makes music awesome, is that there's this endless stream of just discovery of, like, that's what I was saying earlier on Rachel's stream, is it's like I always want to find that that next awesome record.
and that's the point I've been thinking about lately. And no, Bobby, this is an interlude. This is an experiment within the stream. I'll be back to playing music in a little while, in a short while, depending on how the
This is the
discussion turns out.
intermission.
Yeah,
Intermission.
exactly. But I remember that, like, I've had some people comment that with my streams, it's like the show I do with Michael 45, where we talk about upcoming records and we show the covers on screen that we have prepared, like a diaporama of sorts. It's much easier. Well, I remember that, like, I'm a little older than you, Cole. I'm 45, and I'm from the generation when the source of information you had for music was radio, the record store, and buying music papers, not because of the interviews or the reviews, but because of the advertising from the
Sure.
labels and the record stores. So I'm used to to having some homework to do. And when I started to do these streams, I used to have a radio show as well for 18 years in Paris. And the thing is that I mean this as like it's a preview with sketchy sound quality, and if something catches your ear because you can decipher that there's music behind the sketchy quality, then by all means go double check it. There's
Mhm.
probably gonna be like a YouTube video of the song, and then go buy it either on Discogs or in a shop if you find it. But
Yeah.
this is by no means meant to be the way you consume this music. This is just an introduction, a way to talk about it, and also to as Jose was saying, just to talk with as much passion about all kinds of music, like the avant-garde Xenakis as this like little lo-fi indie rock band from the 90s, or with uh, about Buoyancy, if he does an album that is worth talking about. Like
You even
everything. Yeah.
you even play soundtracks. I've seen you play soundtracks too, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so like today I was listening to KG Hino, and then
Yeah.
I went right into, and I am not embarrassed by this, the new Arctic Monkeys record, which legitimately sounds like library music. Like they took stuff from like Italian and French library music and made it into pop songs. It's and to me there's no distinguisher. It's like, the corny thing to say is there's no genre. There's only good and bad music. And as I get older, for me personally, like I really do kind of feel that way. Like
Yeah, me
again,
too.
I'll go and listen to like Xenakis, and then like go and listen to Kiss. Like there isn't that sort of like barrier there. The only barrier is like, what can your mind take? What are you willing to take?
I'll tell you
Yeah.
what. Like I have an example of like a turning point for me. The radio show, the second radio show I had in Paris, I took over the guys who were doing it before, and that was one of the few radio shows I was following religiously. So it was like a big honor. But the show was basically started in like punk rock, like Nirvana and all that stuff, and it evaluated a kind of along the evolution of the Wire magazine, like introducing month after month to new segments of music history, and suddenly it's okay to listen to electronic music. Suddenly it's okay to listen to dub, and they were doing kind of that. But they were the guys before me. They were having like this, like the show was 90 minutes, and it was usually like the first part, like the first 20 minutes was the new stuff in punk rock, then it was the electronic stuff, then the rap stuff. And when I took over, I made a point in like I will play one song of this, and then almost the most opposite I could find in what I have, because I wanted the people who listened to the show to trust that I have their best interest in mind, and that if you are waiting for the next rock tune, you will have to go through these songs of these styles of music you might think you hate or you don't like, but it might also be just a bias you have, and I'll try to force you to confront yourself with it, and maybe you will change your mind. And of course, it works for most of the time.
And I think the best artists and bands, like earlier today when we were on Rachel's stream, you and I kind of briefly mentioned Nirvana, right?
Yeah.
And that's the most mainstream band in my lifetime, where they were so mainstream, but they still meant something to me, and they were that gateway band that got me into Sonic Youth, that got me into Flipper, that got me into like No Trend, that got me into like essentially like avant-garde music. You know what I mean? Like there's something avant-garde about Nirvana, even though they're the most mainstream band, and that's why, like, Jose, when we hung out on stream, earlier today and yesterday, I have such envy that you put out a Mersbell record, not because it's Mersbell, but Mersbell means a lot to me. Like that, that dude introduced me to so much good music,
But that's why I started the label. At the end of the day, it's because I like music that I felt that needed to be out there again, even if it's a reissue, because I personally don't think, I hate when people are like, who's still listening to this band in 2022? It's like, the fuck kind of comment is that? It's just, I never stopped listening to music. I just sort of like forget a little bit that the band exists, and I remember it. It comes and goes when you have so much music, right? That you listen to so many genres, so many bands. But the idea that some people are like, of course, there's like the cringy music you listen to like when you're like 14, but that's not it. I truly believe that the reason to go into creating a label is because you feel that there's great music out there that needs to be still out there, be in print, because it becomes a good purpose in life to know that you enjoy something that other people enjoy, and that you can make it still run. You know what I mean?
And there's no better feeling, and Stunty and Jose, and I think, like, even I've only known you guys for 24 hours, maybe, but the fact that you both I've already been like, oh man, I gotta grab that Mersbell record that I missed, or I bought that Lewis record from Discogs just now, just because you played it. And I was saying this story earlier on Rachel's stream, when that kid bought that Leadbelly record and then came in and bought the Charlie Patton record. There's no better feeling than introducing somebody to something that you really love that can open up doors. And like that's the whole point of like music and culture and art, is to open up doors for people, and that exposes people to different political views, to different ways of thinking. And like that's why I think like you guys, like again, I said this earlier, like I'm not a content person. I just don't want to make content. I just want to consume it now.
But
for like 20 years, I created content. I ran labels. Like now I just want to consume it and enjoy what you're doing, Stunty, or Jose, what you're doing, and just take it in. And
it's funny you say that, because I often have this thinking of like when you're a musician or an artist, sometimes you think that you're driven by making art, like contributing to the big history of music. And of course there's part of that, but to me at one point there's also exactly what you said. Let me manage to get to the position where I don't have to do anything anymore and I can just sit back and enjoy. But I can't because like
There's too much to share. Yeah, and it's
yeah,
tough for
and
me too. That's
yeah,
why, like, I thought I'd never be doing the live stream thing, and I'm never gonna create my own channel. I promise you, I'm just not going to do that. But like, there's still a part of me that really wants to like share records, not because I'm trying to be pretentious. I think you need to have a little bit of ego to do a
But that
label.
could be a channel on its own. You can do only
Yeah,
live streams or whatever. It doesn't have to
but
be
I
like,
think like
you know what I
but I
mean?
think you guys are doing such good work. And again, Jose, I know I keep like saying this. I don't think people realize how awesome it is. And you did good packaging on those records. I know you did. I mean, I know people that have those records. So I know how
I
hard you worked on those
I like.
packaging.
I'll say this. I think that people don't use in the industry. They don't use as much bubble wrap as me. And I don't understand why people don't put bubble wrap. It's like I completely like package
Well,
it
no,
all over.
I know that. I
Put
know how
it,
you send them, but I have a buddy of mine who has both of those reissues, and I've seen them in person. And the care that you put in the actual layout
I put
and how the record looks.
I put like what do you call this? Los sellitos. I don't know. This for my girlfriend. That type of shit on the packaging and everything.
Yeah.
It because I do everything by myself, I guess. That's one of the reasons I'm always like watching like streams sometimes on YouTube, because I'm not a I do watch TV. I like movies, but that's something I do at night. But I'm not a big podcast guy. I like visually looking at something, and so while I'm doing that, I pretty much do everything. But yeah, you have to do certain things, and you have to do them good, better. I think the hardest part for me sometimes is shipping, because since most of the time it's only me, I have to package like 30, 40, 50
yeah.
records a day, and then next day I'm gonna go ship them, and then
Yeah.
while I'm doing
There's
that,
all
I can't do
the
tapes, I can't do respond emails because I'm like rushing
Jose,
around.
sure. We know like there when you do an independent label, you have to do it by yourself, which is the joy and the curse of it.
Yeah,
But
it's
I thought like
beautiful,
for
but
the guys in the peanut gallery who might be interested in that and who might have thought about doing a label, an independent label, something of passion. I have my idea of like you guys know it's not difficult to do it. Like you
No,
just
it's
need
not.
some money
no,
at the beginning.
it's
But the
time. Yeah.
secret, there's one secret to being successful to your own at your own pace. And you guys, I assume you know the secret. It is to have a yearly schedule of release. You have to be prepared to
Yeah.
have 4, 5, 6 release minimum per year. And if you do that, if you do the groundwork to be able to do that, then you will be taken seriously. Then you will be able to talk with distributors, with shops, and you will manage to have
Yeah,
every release
it's little by
service.
little.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's that, and I think part of the other secret sauce really is that you have an understanding of your audience, right? Like if
Yeah.
because there's
Yeah.
again, like I was saying, there's no matter how cool we try to or how we try to say, oh, I'm just doing this for myself. There's part of that, but I think the reality is when you're putting something out in the world, whether you're an artist or you're a label, that's your ego. That's part of your ego that's there. And there's nothing wrong with saying like I believe in this record and I think it's a good record and you need to pay me money for it or you need to give me some sort of exchange. And so I think the idea that like not only do you have a maybe a slew of releases, but that like you put care into it and that you know what your audience is and whether that's yourself and reflected in yourself. Once you know who your audience is, it makes it a lot easier, right? Like, so Jose, when you did those Mersbell records, as soon as you did those, you knew who was going to buy those records.
Yeah,
for the
look,
most
But just quickly, Jose, before
Huh?
what you said, Cole. now it's much easier also to know what your audience is because you have the internet. The audience will
Yeah,
find
that's a
you.
good point. It's a very good point. Very good point. No, Jose, what were you gonna say?
Yeah. I my internet's sort of slow, so if it sounds weird, let me know. All right.
No problem.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, we
We can
can.
hear you.
All
You're a
right.
little bit delayed,
Uh,
but yeah.
okay. All right. Yeah. My the router here, it's a little far away. No, what I was gonna say is like I feel that it's very important to people to understand that the only difference between like me that have a label and people that just listen to music is that I decided to try it out, and I it's very easy. And basically owning a label at the beginning is having a lot of boxes, bubble wrap,
Yeah.
and shipping labels, and going to the post office. That's basically 85% of having a record label. If you think you can manage having a lot of boxes at your house, you're good. You're good
How
to
did
go.
you? I asked you this maybe earlier on Rachel's stream, but I know we didn't get to talk about it too much. How
Mhm.
did you approach Mersbell? I'm just gonna call him Mersbell because I don't think other
Masami.
Masami, but like we'll just call him Mersey because I think that's like how people But how did you approach him?
Um,
Because that's an interesting
well, the label started with very specific kind of music and people that I knew that I wanted to release music. I've done even pop music. There was an artist called Brati from here from Mexico. Well, from Mexico, that she does like anti folk. I don't know if you know what anti folk is.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
all right, like Frankie Cosmos type thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And a friend of mine was like, "Hey, you know what? This girl has like good music. You should release it." And I was like, "Okay, I'll try." And we did like 50 cassettes, and then they sold out like immediately. And I was like, "All right, let's do 100." And then they sold out. And I was like, "All right, let's." And she put out another uh, album, and I put it on tape, and they sold out. And then one day I get a call from Universal Music, and they were like, "Hey, we're dealing with the potential of this artist now being with us." So it was, for me, I was so happy when I heard that an artist that that started with me now is like a universal. Like I didn't care. It was not like something like
Yeah, yeah.
bad for me. It was, for me, it's incredible. They actually bought everything that I still had like in stock from her, and everything that I was planning, because I was planning like
And
50
they
more
destroyed
cassettes
it
or 100.
all. They destroyed it all. The order.
No, no. They, you know why I know they didn't? Because I was sold out, and the copies that I sold from them were the copies that I was working on, like reissuing. And like 2 or 3 months after that, I saw that they dropped off like in where she was doing a tour, and they were the exact same cassettes because I know I make them, and it was so interesting. But from that, I started releasing all my music
Ah,
I think he's paused
yeah.
on us.
So we can
But
talk shit
I
about him now.
but
We can do this.
hopefully he'll come back. But
there.
Yeah, yeah.
there you
I'll be
are.
back.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I started with Mave Frati, that she plays cello, and that's the music that I really listen to. But I started out just doing it as a hobby. I was not doing it like completely as a
Yeah, yeah. Is it, by
like
the way, is
I'm
it your job nowadays? Oh, okay.
Well, I would say, for my label, and I understand what he's sort of getting at. I mean, I did my first label when I was 18, and I'm not trying to name drop, but like the first 7-inch I put out, the guy that was in this band Economist ended up drumming for Future Islands and like Dan Deacon and all these
Okay, yeah.
bands. And then I put out a record once by this band called Puerto Rico Flowers, and Kurt Vile was
horrible
on that
intro.
record. So Jose,
Oh,
go back to what you were saying, because I do want to hear how
oh,
you got a hold of Mersey.
oh. Well, it was just like that. I started with that as the first like experimental music
Soon.
record that I did, and I think that it's very important to people to understand that once, like, that was the first release that I said, you know what, this is really what I wanted always to put out. And it felt nice that she's grown too. Like, she's on 2 more record labels now as well, and it feels good. And after that, I started asking myself what type of music I want to release, because I didn't want to keep releasing a lot of music just because I thought it would sell, basically. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That was not the point that I wanted. And one of the first things that I thought was like, what do I have on CD? What do I have
Yeah, that's the need. Yeah,
and what do I have on cassette that has never been released on vinyl, which is the format that I listen to music pretty much exclusively, because I really don't. I can use Spotify to like check bands and artists, but I don't particularly use it as much. And that was pretty much the first thing that I thought was Mersbell, and a friend of mine had contact because he had played a show in Austin, and he knew someone that had the email, and I just sent him an email and asked if I could do that, and we started
So
talking.
you cold emailed him then?
Yeah. I talk to him all
Wow.
the time. Email.
How is his English? Is it pretty good through email?
Yeah. Of course,
Yeah.
it's probably just as good as mine.
I was about
Oh,
to
your
say.
English is great. I don't. Your English is great. My English is probably bad, and that's my first language. But no, that's awesome. I mean, I remember I saw Mersbell in 2017. I went to Japan to specifically see him in Fushitsusha, which is KG Haino's.
Fushitsusha, yeah.
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 That Fushitsusha show was amazing.
When we were on the Rachel stream, and we were trying to find like to give a clues to Patrick what he should like. I was thinking Fushitsusha, but I couldn't remember the name for some reason.
Yeah. And by the way, Haino has a new band where he covers classic rock, but he disassembles it, and it's unbelievable. Like, it's
Okay, Jose, we'll be talking more about that, by the way. But like Jose and I have been talking about like me helping or like giving some like working together on some
no,
curation.
you guys should.
Yeah, that'd be
You
great.
guys should. But I
There's
will
one
say,
band that in that field that I think is like I would love to have vinyl records of it. It's Nimijiu.
Oh, I don't know them. You can send.
Nimijiu is KG
Oh yeah.
working only with traditional Japanese instruments.
Music.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Like
Yeah.
I would love to see some of that Purple Trap stuff get reissued on vinyl.
Yeah.
Like, and I think he did it on like Tzadik. There's like
The thing is that I think that all this music, this Japanese noise, psychedelic, harsh noise, it's been like we know about it now. Like people, even if they haven't confronted themselves with it personally, they know it exists. It's like your mom knows there is porn, even if she hasn't watched it personally. Right. But the fact that there's a lot of other sides or like parallel music paths from these same people that are more like psychedelic, ambient, avant-garde, that have yet to be really shared on the.
I think Black Editions is doing a really good job. So the idea of Black Editions. What's that?
No, let's Stunty. Send me some links and I'll listen.
Yeah. Definitely send him some links, Stunty. I think Jose, you'd like it. But Black Editions is doing a really good job. So they bought PSF's whole catalog, like lock, stock, and barrel. So Black Editions have been slowly reissuing a bunch of stuff off of PSF. And the rumor is, not rumor, I was talking to Steve Lowenthal last year, and he was telling me that they are going to reissue the first Fushitsusha box set at some point or another. I mean, the first Fushitsusha LP, which will be like a box set. But I think, Stunty, like you're totally right in that people are finally coming around to like Japanese noise or psychedelic music. I want it to be presented in a way that isn't just gimmicky or isn't just like it's exotic because it's Japanese.
Because my take is basically that like for the longest part, like noise has been presented in youth culture the same way heavy metal was presented when it started as the dangerous thing,
Yeah,
the scary stuff for your parents, which
yeah,
totally bores me, to be honest, and it has
yeah,
always
yeah.
been so.
I,
But if you think about it, like what is another aspect of noise music is that it is in essence psychedelic, and then if you
yeah,
approach it that way, suddenly it becomes much more approachable by people, even if it's the same music. Like just the fact that you described it as psychedelic, it's a completely different approach for people, even if it's the same music. Today, I wrote an article. I sent an article about Egyptian lover um, uh, that I wrote in English for an American paper, where I connected this with early musique concrète and early electronic music from Köln. So basically, I was talking about Stockhausen, Herbert Heimert,
mm,
Parmigiani, Pierre Henry, and Egyptian Lover, and Dr. Dre, and Arabian Prince, and all these guys, and making towards the end the connection backwards, Prince, Herbie Hancock, etc. And just, I think we're just at the point when a lot of people who are getting into music lately because of COVID or the revival of vinyl, they will need their like 2 3 years of getting reaccustomed. They want
yeah,
their Pink Floyds, their Who, blah blah blah. They get it. They get like they will even start maybe to go into the audiophile rabbit hole, and then at one point, if they're really into it, they will start to see that there's a forest behind the tree.
Yeah,
And
and look, as somebody that ran a record store, I get it, right? Like classic rock is sort of the bread and butter, especially when I was running a record store, like used classic rock, like your Led Zeppelins, all of that. I have nothing against that. I'm not anti that. But I just always gravitated more towards like, oh, well, I don't know, I'd rather listen to Flower Traveling Band or Taj Mahal Travelers as opposed to like,
yeah, yeah.
Led
yeah.
Zeppelin. Like
I,
that's just how I was.
I, I wanted to respond to the question that they were asking me. Look, when that artist move on to another label, I was just starting to make it like more serious. So I don't feel that I could have uh like gave her what she needed at that moment. So I'm not. I would never hold someone if they can grow beyond, you know, because I only my label. I only worry about if they need shows. I help get gigs. I help with tours. I'm a photographer. If they need videos, I also direct like Super 8 VHS type stuff. I record live shows. I can do a lot of things. I'm an audio engineer. I graduated from that. But at some point, I also think that when it becomes that big, because the artist that I'm talking about, I don't know how many followers she has like in social media and stuff, but it's a lot. And she's done like European tours and all that, and I'm glad that I did what I could at the moment, but at the same time, if I would have uh, chosen to take that route, which very poppy, very that I liked, but at the moment was what I had, like I was like close to being able to release. I wouldn't have the label that I have now. I wouldn't have all the releases
Jose,
I have.
I feel you,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't. When you tell that, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying you're wrong, and like, but I can't help but remember the story of a friend of mine
Mm-hmm.
who released an artist exactly the same way you did, and now that artist is producing the Red Hot Chili Peppers, is producing Gorillaz, and my friend is not hearing that much from that person, and I know that deep
Yeah.
down it's
No, it's look like I said. I'm doing better than when I was just doing her tapes and all that, and she was just her, and then she got a manager and all that. No, but I would never think of that. And to be honest, if I would still be stuck like releasing only like pop music instead of doing it like eventually
yeah.
little by little, I prefer like this because my label has a little bit of everything. I have a lot of ambient noise, yes, I have rock music. I have music in Spanish.
Yeah,
What I
yeah.
like
But you
the
know what?
most.
You just gave earlier, like for me, like I had a plan to start a new label.
Mhm.
For various reasons, it's
Like a
delayed.
sub label.
But the thing is that I had like the same idea you have. Like we have a body of 25, 30, 35 years of music that hasn't been released on vinyl.
Mhm.
Just to go use social media to contact the people and guys, do you could we do a vinyl issue of that? Some will say no, some will say yes, and there's if you have a broad enough spectrum, there will be
Yeah.
enough to fill a catalog for a long, long time, and
Yeah.
to basically introduce some really good underrated music to people because that's the format to do it nowadays,
Yeah.
which I love. Like, for me, I
Well,
completely
look, guys, I gotta get ready and go. But I
okay.
did want to
Okay.
say, number one, Jose, keep doing that label, and I will be in touch with those for those Mersbell
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
Mersbell record. But
On
Stunty,
Monday,
like
I'll check it.
that string of that set that you just played, that was a legit set. Like that was a legit DJ set of really solid. Like it touched on all points that I love about music, and
Yeah.
so the people here that are like, that are kind of following this, clearly they like what you do, but I just, as far as the VC goes, or whatever you want to call it, like you're doing really good work. Like it is cool to
Yeah.
see that it's not
Diversity.
just,
Diversity. It's what I think will always make a difference, and
yeah.
you know something. I never think that competition is great. That's what I'll say. And if anyone here thinks like, because I something that Chad said the other day, I think it's 100% true. It's like, if you like a record and you want to release it, don't wait for anyone else to do it. If you think you can do it, do it. And I think he does says it in a good way. And I think that's something that people, it doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter what type of music you like. If you think you can do a good job and you can give all your might with something you like, if it's local, because of course my idea, it's like every time that I release something outside or whatever, that it's more well known, I also want to release something local. I want to release something from a friend that I like, that I enjoy, because that's the type of thing that makes out for the best little surprises. Because at
Mhm.
the end of the day, these type of music that we're talking about, for an outsider, it could only make sense if you like help them trace out. You know what I mean? It's like, that's why I think like free jazz is probably one of the best genres to get people into this type of music, because it's like, you like, I don't know, like you can go back as like Cole Porter, something so nothing to do, and then it's like, oh yeah, you do, and then you like ballads and maybe Sinatra, and then you can talk about Scott Walker, and then you can talk about Sun, something that goes beyond that type of like
And
journey.
soon all my hair will be gray, and I will definitely look completely like one of these old classic rock
You'll look
producers.
exactly,
So I
Stunning.
can fool all of them. I can
You'll look
fool.
like KG Hino. That you'll just be like a KG Hino like cosplayer.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you just gotta shave like the beard.
No,
Yeah.
but I think we're really at the. You have to remember that like pop music, uh, like mainstreamly distributed pop music, is a fairly recent phenomenon,
Yeah.
and we're right now, in my opinion, at a turning point, or like we're at a place where I think that every like, for example, um, the fact that for me, who was like at one point I had a career in techno and DJing around the world,
Mhm.
playing live around the world, and people were telling me like, well, what do you think of David Guetta and like what he does, and it's horrible, right? And I was thinking, he's just paving the way to make it easier for me to do what I want to do, not to do the
Mhm.
same stuff he's doing.
Yeah.
And I always had also this idea that like we all played in these shitty venues where there's like 30 people, 40 people, but like when you start like a musical or DJ career and you play for your friends, You play, then maybe the next level is playing at your school. Next one is like you're invited to play to open at a party, a small party, and there's all this stage that goes up,
Yeah.
up, 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 and up. And for me, and the bigger stage is like basically you're DJing for the Rio Carnival for like a million people in the streets.
Yeah.
But the idea is that it's not about making compromises. It's about, as you said earlier, understanding your audience or
Yeah.
respecting what you are hired for and just
Mhm.
going to the essence of who you are. Because if they
Yeah.
ask you to play a show, it's still because you are who you are. And you just have to eliminate the stuff that might be distracting, that for you is essential, but you know that there will be some of these tracks in your music or in the music that you're playing from others that will go to the core of it, or that at least you have to attempt to do that. And then you are going through a very genuine journey. You're not making compromises, and you're actually growing and having people grow with you. And that is like the whole VC thing. When I started it, it was I was like very like skeptical, like you call like, more than skeptical. And I have my own story about that. We can talk about it another time. I won't bore everyone with the details, but like it's just basically I realized that there's a few people who talk about the stuff I talk about, and because I did a radio show for 18 fucking years, when you do a radio show, you talk. So you use words to talk about the most abstract thing, art, but music. Music is not even physical, it's radio waves. So basically, your job is to find the words, the vocabulary that leaves the least amount of room for interpretation. When I say this is psychedelic, there's two things. There's the word that I hope everyone understands the same way than I, and the context I give it, so that we start to speak the same language when we talk about the most abstract thing.
Yeah.
And I thought that I could do that pretty well, or maybe not. It's not about better than other people, but like that I could do that, and that would be probably something that has some worth.
Yeah,
Now, yeah,
and I'll leave you guys with this. This is what I was saying earlier. I think there's nothing wrong, and that's with all content creators, whatever you want to
mm,
call them. There's nothing wrong with having ego. I think you need to have a little bit of ego. Like Jose, like obviously those Mersbell like releases had been reissued. I think Important did like both of those like original like
They
pressings.
they released it on CD, but they
You're
never
right.
released it on
Yeah, and
vinyl.
so like
Yeah.
you had to have the ego and the knowledge to be like, you know what, this deserves to be on vinyl and cassette, even though like this had been released 15 years prior because you
20.
believe so much in it. You know what I
I
mean?
agree there's some ego in all what we're talking about, but I'm not sure what Jose is doing. I know where you're going, coming from, Coil,
Yeah, it's not a
and I'm
different.
with
I
you.
think it's a positive. I think like
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
believe so much in what
yeah.
you do.
But there is also like, especially when you release stuff that has already been released, but not in the way you want, then it's a
Yeah.
little bit different than when you release stuff for the first time, where
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. I think though that you just believe so much that you can do a good job of something that's already been in existence that
Um,
it takes a little bit of I can do this. I know that
it's
my taste is good. And that's the idea with any label though, right? You're curating your taste. Like even, doing this like kind of radio show stream, you doing that string of an hour of songs, that's you saying to the audience like, no, these are good songs that you need to listen to because I believe in them.
Yes, but when you're
yeah.
releasing a Mersbell record, you're not curating your taste because that taste already exists out there.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I actually look my when I released because I've released two Mersbell records and we have three more to go. Like at least that we have planned.
Cheers,
And
Jose.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
seriously. Cheers.
look,
That's good.
I what I say I'll say is like the door open AAM has different tracks, more tracks. The Amlux one that's going to be announced next month, and this Mersbell. My idea was that it had never been released on the format that I listened to it. First of all, second of all, that I thought they were just as good of albums as what Masami's releasing right now. Because if you see Masami's career, it took like 15 years for people to be like, oh, you know what, like the classic 90 to like 99 period, he already had been doing that for 10 years. So and he's releasing music like the Boris album, the Relapse released like 2 3 years ago, the pink
yeah,
one.
yeah.
That's amazing. And so I think that it's worth putting out again, that it's worth let people letting like explore it again. But I don't think I don't do them just because I think I'll do them better. Not at all, because I talked to Imprec about he contacted me asking if like, hey, I wish that Masami had told me that you were trying to release this, and I asked him like, let's do it together, and I never got a response. So it's not that I think that I'm like I asked the artist like me,
Yeah,
and
I don't think it's that. That's not what I really meant. What I meant was that you just have the confidence, you know,
Yeah.
to like
yeah.
release something where you're like, no, this is good. You know, I think what's funny is we were talking about Plasticman earlier, and I don't know if you guys are. I'm sure Jose, you may be
Whom?
familiar with the reissue that came out like 2 or 3 years ago on
Who
that
are you
weird
talking about,
label.
Cole? Who are you
What's that?
talking about?
The Plasticman Mersbell record that came
Oh
out.
yeah,
We
relapse,
relapsed the reissue it like
relapse.
2 years ago, but there was another label that did a reissue
Yeah, with
that
the
was
tape.
a total debacle.
Yeah, with the tape. Yeah, I also have that one.
Yeah,
They released
and
it
you
with a
know, I
cassette.
think that was that dude, that whoever released it, their ego was beyond, like, it was, they didn't do it right. What my point is, you did it right. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is like, keep doing what you're doing, because I think it's important. And just like Stunty, like you doing this show, like I don't follow any other like VC people, and I'm never going to. Like Rachel's channel is just like I put that on when I'm working, just
Yeah.
as like background noise. But
Um,
no, I think what you're doing, Stunty, is great. Jose, what you're doing is great. Keep doing it. And it's like I'm gonna it's inspiring for me, because then it's like, oh man, what new records do I have to discover?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what this is all about. It's not about, and I get it. I respect that people care about audiophile recordings or pressing plants or where things were pressed, or it's not me crapping on that. It's that what I care about personally is getting that record and being like, whoa, this is a new sound. This is new, or this rules. Like, where can I get more? Like, I got to get more. I used to, when I ran that record store, because I would run it on the weekends, I would sleep in the record store. I would actually sleep on the floor because I wanted to be surrounded by records. I wanted to be immersed in, like, I can wake up at 4 in the morning and just put on any record I want. Like that
mhm.
is, I know that sounds like romantic, but it's really just, I love being surrounded by records. Like,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's like when I had like before I moved to Sweden, I had like with friends, I had a record store in Paris, and I also did sleep on the floor many nights, but that was because I hated my roommates.
well,
that's
look, I gotta
great.
go, guys.
Yeah.
Hey,
Stunty,
So
see
let's do
ya.
it again.
Talk to you soon.
Jose,
Before you go, what like I'll do that for like 20, 30 more minutes. What should I play? Where do you guys want me
I would love
to
to
go?
hear. I don't know, Jose. I don't know about you,
Um,
Jose. I would love to hear some high note, any sort of high note. If you want to, I don't know if you have any high note. That would be
Well, I have the
great.
blank editions. I have the Hurdy Gurdy double LP they put
Oh
out.
yeah, and that's the
But
one blank edition. That's the one blank editions record that's out of print. They've been very good about keeping those records in print, but that's the one record
yeah,
that's like out of print for some reason.
when it came out, I did talk about it. I did advertising. I sold a few copies of that. But like that's the VC is also helping KG. I know that way, but
Yeah.
I won't play that right now because I've already played it, and honestly, it's a chaos here. I have it's buried under other records.
Do you like? Well, I was saying this in the chat. Do you like Muslim gauze at all? Do you like Muslim gauze?
I have okay, so I have every single Muslim Goes vinyl that I think is worth having. There's lots I think are not worth having, but like last week I was playing on my stream. I did play this, which is maybe one of my favorites, which is
Oh wow,
on
wow.
like
it's
a picture there.
Yeah, it's a
Well,
7-inch on Syntactic, like Austrian label that did release some Basinski, Colin Potter, Nurse with Wound, etc.
You have the Basinski box set over there.
Yeah. I'm gonna do a video about it tomorrow, actually.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I have. I have all the thing is, as I was saying, I don't know if it was with you guys, but I think like I'm not a collector. I have a
you were saying
collection,
this, yeah.
and I'm. There are a few albums where a few bands that I have everything they did, but there's not that many because most of the time for example, a band I love, Biosphere. For some reason, the album that most people seem to love, Substrata, it was originally only released on CD. Then it got reissued on vinyl. I didn't get it because it's my least favorite one. Because I think that Biosphere is great at ambient, and his rhythm when he does drums, it's crap. It's like cliche, and that album has that, so it destroys the whole mood for me. So I don't have that, and I'm perfectly fine with that. The only band I have every
Yeah.
single record of, like every single like remix or whatever, this is my Autechre section.
Wow, you weren't kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll never be able to gather the whole collection, but that's how I actually am with Hino. Like I have two cubes of like Hino records or related, or like you were talking about Nurse with Wound. Like I'm trying to collect everything on the Nurse with Wound list. I know they're doing those like compilations now from the Nurse with Wound list, but I'm trying to get all of those records, and it's impossible. It's going to be impossible, but it's
expensive.
Like, yeah. I mean,
Stunty has them all.
But here's the thing:
it's not
like it's not even a game for me. It's like that music is so interesting. Like they had such good taste.
It's funny because on the Nurse with Wound list, I have almost everything that I want to have, and I got most of that before I became a fan of Nurse with Wound, and it's funny. Someone actually, I want to, because you guys also like electronic music, but like the warp kind of stuff. There's a record that was interesting to me that someone, I don't know if that person is here in the Macadamium Nut Gallery, who asked me to play some Beaumont Hannant. Are you guys familiar with Beaumont Hannant?
No. Please play some.
He was on GPR. GPR is the first label that released Black Dog, and Luke Slater and a lot of like Brit techno, the best British techno, and the first Beaumont Hannant album has he did a few remixes for Autechre in the first box set single of Autechre Basket, but the first Beaumont Hannant has an insert with a list that is kind of his own Nurse with Wound list. I'm not even sure. I don't know if he knew about Nurse with Wound. I don't know if he did that as an homage. He could very well have been doing that with no knowledge of Nurse with Wound. I just think it's a very natural thing to do. When Nurse with Wound did that, it was a natural thing to do. It was sharing. And I was in France and buying avant-garde jazz records in the 90s when no one cared about that. So now I got a lot of these records, that the originals, because there was no reissues of that. It was not because I want to have like a collection of collectibles. Now, of course, I kind of like it. Like there's an ego that comes with it. Now, if I find one thing that is missing from it and I can get a reissue, I kind of cringe a little bit. I want the original. So I can be crazy with that now, even when I have no money.
Force Exposure is doing a lot of Nurse with Wound reissues. Some of them are some of them
there's a good record store out of I think it's Cincinnati, Ohio, called Torn Light, and they actually have a Nurse with Wound section, like Nurse with Wound list section, where it's like whatever they get in that's on the Nurse with Wound list, even if it's like just that artist, it'll be in that section. So it's really interesting weekly to go in there and go, oh man, like this like Henry Cow record or whatever, it's like, I gotta grab this, I just didn't know it was on the list, and again, like I don't care about if I can find an original, that's great, but like just to have those records and not consume them in like a capitalistic way, but like and just like, whoa, like
Well,
it's a new
but
sound, you know?
there's some records that, I mean, as much as I enjoy having a reissue, I would die for an original, like Throbbing Gristle, like the second report, the white
You know
cover
what?
with the
I had
stickers.
I had an original first pressing of that, and I sold it because
Why?
it's for me. It's
Did he?
like it's an artifact. It's not a record.
Yeah,
I love Coil. I have Coil. I'm also obsessive with Throbbing
yeah,
Gristle. Much less so because a lot
yeah,
a lot of the ideas I love in Throbbing Gristle were done much better later by Coil, or even
yeah.
by
Psychic TV. But I mean, I still think that they're worth a lot more if you have like original some Throbbing Gristle, because it's the first records, industrial records. It's just it's like historical for me, at least for me. You know what I mean?
Well, that's how I am with like Peter Brotzman. There's some Peter Brotzman stuff that I would love to have an original Machine Gun,
I
just because
have it.
that record is so intense. You know, like we're talking about like harsh noise. There's an argument to be made that that is one of the first like it's a free jazz record, but come on, let's Machine Gun is a noise record. Like that is it. That's a noise record, you know. So,
Hey,
but look,
something.
I got to get out of here. I really do. Again, Stunty,
Yeah,
Jose, you
let's
guys will.
chat and let's do that again.
Yeah, let's do this
Um,
again. You guys are great.
I can either stay for 10 more minutes or cut it here, however you want it. I don't mind it.
Let's yeah. I want to play some music by the
All
end, but
right,
like stay here for a second so
all right,
that I can decide what I'm playing. Like
All right,
entertain
guys.
the people,
all right.
Hey,
and
be
Bye,
good.
man.
Be safe, everybody. Take care. Have a good one.
Bye, bye.
yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed us chatting a little bit. It was. Like, it wasn't planned really. It was totally improvised, but I was sure that we would find some topics that could
I
be
think Bobby found it a
entertaining.
little. I think Bobby didn't like it.
Yeah, Bobby. Sorry, Bobby, but
Sorry, Bobby. I think Bobby left already. But you know what? Uh do you have a sucked orange? Do you enjoy that record?
oh, firstly, it's probably the best cover art of any Nurse with Wound album.
Yeah, well, probably. Yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. I don't know why people hate it. I think that it's so strange and like it's just a mixture of a lot of things he had laying around. But I don't know why it's so well known and why people. I've seen like videos of like this is the worst album ever made. I'm like, I don't believe
Really?
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
There's
never seen anything like that.
I was showing a friend one of the like the first song, which probably the strangest one. Uh, and there's a guy on YouTube that he has a like a show called the worst albums of all time, which he's not a bad guy. He doesn't do them. He tries to listen to them and he likes most of the music, but I was shocked to know that people think it's horrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's with Nurse with Wound. I don't know how people approach it. Like, I have such a personal connection. Like,
Yeah,
for
yeah, me
example,
too.
the first time I met Steven Stapleton, you know that like on the racial stream, we have these jokes that like my music, as if I owned it, is
Yeah.
toilet flushing music.
Uh-huh.
So the first time I met Steven Stapleton was in I had quite a few beers in me. I was pretty drunk, and I was actually in the bathroom of the Royal Elizabeth Hall,
Oh wow.
urinating, and oh, it's Steven Stapleton's urinating right by
He
me.
had his hat on.
No, he had his hair. No, he had his hat. He had it,
Yeah, nice.
and we
That's how
started
I
to
would
talk
recognize.
while pissing. And he was like smiling. He thought it was because I was like starstruck a little bit, not totally starstruck, but I was like, "Oh, I know who you are, and I love you," and blah blah blah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, so it was quite a funny way, and I don't have, I'm not like close to him at all. We have had some contact, some connections, but yeah, it's a fun band to collect also because of the
Yeah.
way he makes so many collectible. So like I'm obsessive with it, so I get it all. But like even if you don't get it all, it's still very. You can get some really cool, unique records that very
Yeah,
few artists are doing, are so close to their collectors in a way.
yeah. I got into Nurse with Wound when I found out. I think I told you already, but when I found out about Core 93, when Death in June, I think the only artist out of those three that I still like listen to a lot, it's Nurse with Wound, because Current 93, the vocals after a little while.
You know what? Cure 93, I don't. There's a few
Uh-huh.
recent albums where the singing is different that okay, I can go with it.
Yeah, but it's the
Death in
vocal.
June, I only got 2 albums from the late 90s where it's almost like ambient industrial, like electroacoustic.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
The
for me, the
Nada.
real stuff is Nurse with Wound, Coil, Soviet
Yeah,
France, Muslim
yeah.
Goes, Nocturnal Emission, Organum,
Nocturne.
HNS, all these bands.
Yeah,
These I'm really obsessive. Like P16, D4.
yeah. I mean, they knew each other, and I think Coil, as much as because I love Coil, but I like throwing Wrestle just because I guess it's like I pay too much respect for the fact that they exist, and then
Yeah,
Chris Carter and Chris and Cozy and everything that sprung after, like when Peter was in Psychic TV, and I don't know, maybe that's why, but I do believe the most serious project out of that came out of all of that, it's Coil, of course.
yeah,
And I was talking to Autumn, like you know Autumn,
yeah. I
it's
know
a
her.
Fred's friend, because you said that there was a new the Ape of Naples reissue coming out.
Yeah,
Uh, but what's the deal with that? Is that an official one? Because
It's official. Apart from the fact that who owns the rights, who knows?
who
Like
owns the rights?
so, no. So basically, what I understand, uh, whenever there's a reissue of Coil
Mhm.
nowadays, it's okay. The three main collaborators of Coil are Drew McDowell, Stephen Frower, and
Mhm.
Paul Sandra. So whoever was the most, and of course Danny Hyde, whoever was the most involved in that record of
Danny
that
Hyde.
is the one who's the reference to that. But yeah, I have all the Coil stuff originals. I boarded them. I started to buy Coil in the early 90s,
Yeah.
um, so I'm not too concerned about it. What I'm concerned is when they reissue Apple of Naples, with
The April Paint.
with what I consider like
Imprec.
originally it was in the box set. It was a single LP, and now it's a triple LP. And
Yeah. Yeah,
there's
that's
two
what I'm.
tracks that
That's
were
who.
there's two tracks that were on the CD version that are alright, but not my
Mhm.
favorite. I can live without them, and all the rest is remixes, new remixes by Danny Hyde done whenever. But it's for me, it feels like cutting floor material. I for me, it lessens the impact of the album, but that's me. So yeah,
But have, have you seen that video of Danny Hyde talking about like how he never got paid for the Ape of Naples records
oh
that
no,
Imprec
I
put
haven't.
out?
I'll look it up. Like
He sent me it.
I'm in touch with him sometimes, but I will show you one. Like now, I'll play some music for the next 15-20 minutes, and what I'm gonna play. So this is the first Autechre record on Warp. It was the Basket
Yeah.
EP, which is a
Oh wow.
triple 10-inch featuring remixes by Seafeel, by who else?
I like
um,
Alter.
uh, ta- 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 yeah, well, there's two remixes by Beaumont Hanant and by other people I forgot who they are. And as was custom in electronic music back then,
Mhm.
someone was doing a remix for you, you were doing a remix for them. So on Beaumont Hanant's first album on GPR, which has this list I was talking about, there's a track that is called Autumn, which you can hear is basically originally an Autechre track that he remixed or covered, and it's kind of like a shoegaze track, but made solely out of synthesizers and drum machines with some guitar. And it sounds like, as the production is not finished on it, that like there's something a little awkward about it. But I like it, and I'm gonna play it. And Jose, it was nice to have
I'll
you.
have to pack. I'll have to pack, but I'll keep listening. And good talking to you.
Yeah,
we'll talk soon. All right, when I'm over there and I can show you records, because I don't have crap here. All right.
Yeah, talk and you guys, soon. We talked for an hour. Now back to some music. Bye.
Yeah, man. Bye.
De Beaumont-à-Nantes list. From 94, I believe. Yeah, 1994. Royce. Beaumont-à-Nantes is an unusual figure in British electronic music. He did almost all his stuff on that label, and then he did a few projects where he actually remixed a lot of tracks for Björk, and quite successfully so. And then he vanished. He had there's a few people who are looking for him online, and no one knows what he's doing now. He was in a band called Outcast, not the hip hop band, but with another techno producer. Was released on Björk's label, One Little Indian, and it's pretty good. But yeah. Exactly. It's starting to get cold, but the records are good insulation. Luis, it was Beaumont à Nantes. The album Sculptured. It's not for you, and I was saying that the production is a little bit special. This is more for you, Ricardo. This is Eduardo Polonio, Spanish guitar player, composer, who did some stuff with Esplendor Geometrico. This is from 1988. It's a great album. Way more avant-garde, of course. No, she's not fussy. She knows what she likes. But she's fussy. No. We can all be fussy. So this is not a super rare album, but not an easy one either. I find this absolutely stunning. Not for everyone, huh? Not yet, at least. Someday. Oh, I have a FI, yeah. I don't have the other one. John. Okay, this might be for you, John. Yeah. Very good. The second album. Yeah. I'm I'm getting that.
Let no fear.
Hey, John.
Be their code, be their code. No matter what's the foes,
Thank you.
all you got to do, rise in the
I
strength
could.
of Jah, yeah, and face life up the way, yeah. Press on, upward still, with a better hope and stronger, stronger way. Rise in the strength of Jah, yeah, yeah, and face life up the way, yeah. Press on, upward still, with a better hope and stronger, stronger, stronger way than in the past. You hear what I say? Than in the past. Rise up, rise up, rise up, in the strength of Jah. Oh, oh yeah, oh yeah. All the changing scenes of life,
I know, yeah.
never toy, maintain the strive, maintain the strive. Let no sorrow dim your eyes, dim your eyes. For soon shall every day be dry.
Ah, okay.
Let no fear impede your course, impede your course.
I only have
No
CDs
matter
of
what's
FI.
the force, all you got to do, rise in the strength of Jah, yeah, hey, and face life up your way, yeah. Press on, upward still, with a better hope and stronger, stronger way. Rise in the strength of Jah, yeah,
I don't think so.
and face life up your way.
Okay, so we're nearing the end. I'll play one more song, maybe two, if someone has a final request. Compilation of a little scene from early 80s in Milano. 4 bands that used to do stuff together. I knew it. I knew it was for you. Oh, thank you, Multiversa. So not the best Autechre necessarily, but my favorite one, Chiastic Slide. Yeah, the one I relate to the most. But for me, it's always tracks over tracks. So jazz, dub, disco, someone asked, huh? Jagal jazziste. Next time, Ricardo. Yeah, it's a pretty cool album. Next time, Ryan, I promise, and I will give you a big shout out. So we're gonna finish with one last track now. Probably like 16 degrees, I would say. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, me neither, Ricardo, but that album, it's better than, yeah.
Eu vou buscar meu chapéu de palha branco que eu deixei lá no sobrar da Maria Portugal. Ela nem vai perceber que é curtição que eu deixei só pra voltar e falar-lhe ao coração. Ando de gasolzinho, de bonde até de Zeppelin. É só por causa dela meu desatino e meu mal dormir. Ando de gasolzinho, de bonde até de Zeppelin. É só por causa dela meu desatino e meu mal dormir. Eu vou buscar meu chapéu de palha branco que eu deixei lá no sobrar da Maria Portugal. Ela nem vai perceber que é curtição que eu deixei só pra voltar e falar-lhe ao coração. Ando de gasolzinho, de bonde até de Zeppelin. É só por causa dela meu desatino, meu mal dormir. Ando de gasolzinho, de bonde até de Zeppelin. É só por causa dela meu desatino, meu mal dormir.
Odeon is a big label in Brazil.
É só por causa dela meu desatino, meu mal dormir.
I'm going to.
É só por causa dela meu desatino, meu mal dormir.
And good night to you, dear friends. Okay. That's the big tune.
Eu lhe disse, meu irmão,
I have the album of that.
que esta vida é dose braliana.
I can't live with that tune.
Mas esqueça essa amargura, que essa dor a gente cura. É só sambar.
Yes, Christopher.
Foi-se embora, meu irmão. Se
I
conforme,
don't think so, but
ela não
maybe.
Ela só queria ouro, mas você só tinha samba para ensinar. Violão, castigo é você, que tem 6 contas só pra mim prender. Os lábios eu tenho chorar, pois quem sofreu tem que desabafar.
Next Wednesday we're doing that.
Vida é dose italiana. Mas esqueça essa amargura, que essa dor a gente cura. É só sambar. Foi-se embora, meu irmão. Se conforme, ela não volta.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ela só queria ouro, mas você só tinha samba para ensinar. Violão, meu castigo é você, que tem 6 cordas só pra me prender. Os
Allez, bonne nuit.